Hello. Post the questions in the chat so that I'll be able to respond to your queries. Post in your questions so that I'll be able to respond to your questions. Hello everyone. Yeah, now keep talking about how do we build a career in engineering. Uh, See, the first and foremost thing is when we are into our plus one, plus two, we tend to study for about 12, 14, 16 hours a day. But then when we move into the engineering stream, when we move into graduation, we generally tend to slow down our pace, which drops down drastically to about 2, 4, 6 hours, 8 hours, so on, depending upon the individuals. So this is one area wherein we generally tend to struggle keeping up with the pace of the requirement in terms of education. Now coming to the second part as to how do we make a career. The first thing is engineering is all about doing things and not reading things. Most of us we end up with only reading the content somewhere, reading books, reading YouTube online, YouTube contents, or watching YouTube contents, and so on and so forth. But these things will not really suffice the requirement because once you know what it is, you have to implement it and see how you are able to implement things and where you are able to take things forward. Say, for example, the smallest of the circuits that you study, you need to go back and rig up the circuit and check whether the functionality of the circuit. As long as we don't really do that, it does not really suffice the requirement. Second thing, we have got a lot of simulation tools which are to be utilized for the today's generation. When we would look at the previous generation, probably our generation, we did not have those many simulation tools. Say, for example, you have Proteus, which can be used for digital simulations. So you can always build electronic circuits there, see the performance of the network that you have built. It could be a simple AND gate circuit. It could be a simple function like y is equal to a plus b into c plus d, and still it does not matter. Please implement these things and then check. Only then you will be able to understand how to really go about implementing or understanding the concepts of engineering. Now, if you do not get into the process of improvising your skills, then it is going to be really difficult for you to come up with how exactly to learn the concepts. For example, if if I study, say, a simple AND gate circuit, or maybe a simple function like a plus b into c plus d, once we just study it, we design the circuit, we put in two AND gates and one OR gate, or two OR gates and one AND gate, and then write this as the output Y. But then, have we really tested it on the board, or have we tested it on the simulation tool? As long as we don't test things on the simulation tool, it does not really make sense as to whether things are working fine or not. We would be studying multiplexers in future videos that I'll be sharing, wherein in case if you have already studied the multiplexers, fair enough. Uh, Now, every time we always have a question as to why is it that this particular thing switching across, or how is the switching happening? Why is the switching so important for us? Now, generally, when we say multiplexers, people just tell you there are two power n inputs and one output. But then, it is very important for us to understand the very fact that it is not just about 2 to the power of n inputs and one output and so on. This is basically a multiplexing scenario. Now, what is multiplexing scenario? Multiplexing scenario is a scenario wherein we want to send multiple outputs multiple inputs onto a channel. For example, if I'm talking to you over a phone, then the amount of information that has to be transferred is at about 56 kilobits per second. Now, if I'm sending this information over a channel which can handle, say, 1 Mbps of data, and I'm dedicating the entire channel for your convenience, then we are wasting a lot of resources. So, what is that we need to do? We need to go ahead with setting up a multiplexer wherein for a small duration of time it will be allocated to person one. The second duration of time, the second slot will be given to the second person, third slot to the third person, fourth slot to the fourth person, and so on. So the sample of your voice that is being taken out in that one slot would be sufficient enough to reconstruct your voice, because we know there is something called as Nyquist criteria, which says if if you have uh, the sampling rate of 2 to the power of n, or twice the communication frequency, then you would be able to reconstruct the original signal. Now, what do we mean by this? Say, for example, our human audio can go up to 20 kilohertz. So, if I'm able to take samples of the voice at 40 kilohertz, that will be more than sufficient enough to transmit the information and reconstruct my audio as it is. Since the reconstruction of the audio can happen with only 44 kilobits per second, or 40 kilohertz, 40 kilobits, we still go a little ahead and start with the 44 kilohertz or 44 kilobits per second, and you have 56 kbps. These are the general standards for audio recording. So during the transmission, we can make use of only 44, 46, 44 kilohertz or 56 kilohertz of frequency for a particular person, and the rest of the timing, which is say 1 mbps space that we have, or the bandwidth that we have, that can be to multiple people. So switching between the slots, or switching between the multiple people, is where we need to get into the things. For example, uh, say there are multiple people, so three people, we give three different slots, and we are able to reconstruct the audio of all the three people. So it is going to be important for us to learn how multiplexers work and how to take things forward, right? Hi Amrit Jha. So which things to learn to get a good job in ECE? Yeah, this is something which is very important for all of us. In electronics and communication engineering, you need to have your clarity on what is the domain that you want to work with. You enjoy communication domain, you enjoy electronics hardware, or you enjoy software programming. These are some of the very important things that you need to look into. You need to decide on what you're enjoying the most. The field that you enjoy the most is the field in which you need to work. Please do not try to enter into software industry just because everyone is running there, and don't make money as a parameter to decide the field that you're going to stick to. The reason why I'm saying this is, whenever you master a particular skill, obviously you'll be paid higher up. So you would never be bothered about any such thing. Say, for example, generally when we say a painter, how much he earns, we would say maybe a few hundred rupees a day, or so on, or maybe a few thousand rupees a day is what we can think of on the higher side. But then when we talk about the paintings of M.F. Hussain, or maybe singers like Sunil Chauhan, they make lakhs per day. So money is not the parameter. It is the only parameter that decides is what is that you enjoy the most. So what I would suggest is, first thing is identify the domain that you want to make a career in. If you are, say, for example, in my particular case, I am someone who is interested into embedded systems. I've always been interested in embedded systems, digital electronics, and so on. And till date, I have been working only on that. And for those who have attended my sessions, either in the classes or in the online sessions, you would see the kind of passion that I go in with my classes, the intensity that I have in my classes. The reason why that happens is, I have always been inclined towards being a teacher. So right from the beginning, I ventured into it, and my career has always been into embedded systems. My BTech project was digital dashboard unit. My MTech project was uh, a digital display board, a LED display board, which was interfaced with GPS, GSM, and the computer. Then my PhD work was more into designing the microcontroller itself. So, when we talk about these things, it always tells you the intensity with which you're going to learn the concepts. So, choose one particular domain and start working on it. Now, say for example, if you since you are talking about ECE engineers, one important thing that you need to do is start working on projects. Working on projects. Now, when I say projects, it need not be a big thing. It is a simple prototype. You can start off with taking a microcontroller. Take any microcontroller of your choice. Generally, my recommendation would be to go ahead with Node MCU, Node MCU 32S. You can make use of that, or 80 to 66, either of them. 80 to 66 gives you uh, 80 to 66 does not have the Wi-Fi abilities, but then 32S comes with the Wi-Fi ability as such. So once you are able to use this particular device, start programming it. Maybe you start with only turning on a LED and turning off a LED through a mobile interface connected on a Wi-Fi. This is going to be the first step of your learning process in terms of how to take things forward in electronics and communication engineering. Now, once you learn the skill of turning on a LED or off, then the next step would be you start controlling motors. You start verifying how things are changing. How do you control the speed of the motor? Then you can start off with the display modules. Once you start off with the display modules, the content that you have on your Node MCU 32S, then that is when you will be able to understand how each and every single parameter is going to be controlled. And it is only the practical exposure that you're going to have is going to give you a knowledge, skill set, and once you have the skill sets, you have the price tag that you are looking for. So, my answer to your simple question on which are the things you need to learn to get a good job is learn anything, but only one thing, and make sure you are really mastering that particular skill. Don't try to become a jack of all. It does not work. You want to get into web development, start with your HTML, start with CSS, start with the fundamentals like JavaScripting. That will help you in developing skills. And once your skills are developed, you will be able to really go ahead and make a career for yourself. Don't try to switch between domains thinking switching domains is going to help you in the long run. That will definitely not help you. So please don't get into the habit of switching domains or trying to get into the skill sets that you are going to venture into. Please stick to one particular domain, one particular parameter that will help you in making a for your question. So if there are any more questions coming in, I would be happy to answer that. And let's get on to the next part. Yeah, the multiplexer thing that I was discussing about some time earlier. So this is where we need to try and understand things in the basic structure. Now, once we understand these things at the basic structure as to how we are going to communicate, why multiplexers are required, once we understand these concepts, that is when we will be able to really go ahead and make the best use of the resources. Please do make use of all the simulation tools that you have, especially in terms of electronics. So if you go to civil engineering, you'll have ETABS, which is being used for the structural designing. So you can go ahead with making use of uh, yeah. So you have ETABS. Computer science obviously has way a lot of software platforms where you can simulate a lot of things. Then there is going to be your mechanical engineering, wherein we have CAM, CAD CAM, which are to be used so that it will help you in building a career. Then we are also looking at any of the other engineering streams. Please go ahead and ask me questions so that I'll be more specific with respect to the queries. Did I answer your question, Amrit? Yes. Looking forward for more queries. I'll be available live for another 30 minutes. So any queries coming in will be answered. Remember, engineering is only about the skill development. As long as you develop skills, you are going to sustain in the market. You just keep growing. But then the moment you lose out on the skill development, obviously things are going to uh, go down the downtown. So kindly focus on developing the skills, which are very important. It could be one domain. So kindly stick to one domain is what I would always suggest. Stick to a domain. Don't just keep running behind things like the buzzwords like AI, ChatGPT. No, things don't work that way. It is if you are not really passionate about the working on ChatGPT, and then just because you hear that you get a lot of money by getting into AI and stuff, you venture into it and then you really don't enjoy it, nor you'll be able to deliver the goods that are required. So my suggestion would be to stick to one domain that you love the most and make a good career there. Every career is remunerative. Every career gives you good money. It's just the skill sets that you develop matters the most. I hope I have answered your question. Criminalize. Hello. Post in your questions. Post in your questions so that I'll be able to respond to it. Please is on at mobile यार करेगा. अमन फोन यार. Post in your questions. Post in your questions so that I'll be able to respond to your queries on how to make a career in engineering or digital electronics. post me your queries. Hmm? Hmm? Hello, post in your query so that I'll be able to respond. I'm sure the agenda for the day, which is going to be how to make a career in engineering or any other queries that you have on the videos that I have posted in the past. Looking forward to the posts. And you put in your question in the chat so that I'll be able to respond to it. Amrit, thank you so much for that post. Hope I have answered your question. If you have a question, please do ask. Making a career in engineering is uh, a task in itself wherein our focus has to be on only the skill development. The more the skills that we develop, it is one skill that matters the most. Just like in the movie Charlie Chalk to China, wherein he says, uh, मुझे उन 10,000 मूव से खतरा नहीं है जो तुमने एक बार प्रैक्टिस किया है लेकिन जो उसे एक मूव से खतरा है जिसे तुमने 10,000 बार प्रैक्टिस किया है. So that is what exactly suits in for us as engineers, wherein we have to really build one skill or one technology that we need to work on, which will help us in making a good career for ourselves. So, for engineering students, my suggestion is always this: please focus on one skill, please focus on one task, one schedule, or maybe one software that you want to learn, or one microcontroller or processor that you want to work with, or even a DSP for that matter. Take one device and start working on it. The moment you start working on one particular device, you start gaining mastery. It is always the masters who are required. We don't need jack of alls. Jack of alls don't make much of contribution. Say, for example, when you look at cricket, you would find that only one or two all-rounders make it to the team, whereas all the others are the specialists. So be a specialist and not jack of all, right? Thank you so much for joining in, ending the stream here. Thank you.